It will never stop amazing me how eat up Indiana, Illinois, and heck, even Ohio is with the stories of these giant hairy men that hang out in the woods. When I first started digging in seriously to the Bigfoot subject, I was always looking for dudes in Northern California, Washington, Montana, Oregon, Canada, the Rockies, the big dogs of the Bigfoot world where you see all the tall trees and the men and the women drive the Subarus and they see Bigfoot in the woods. You get the point. But dang it, the Midwest isn't just loaded with them. It's insane. Like, I get more fun people out of the Midwest of Bigfoot than anybody. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Caffeinated Cryptid podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Dizzle, the man with the plan. Yep. Take a moment right now, hit the subscribe button, share with your friends, get in on the ground floor of the show because it's about to explode. Got big things coming, months of killer episodes scheduled, months of killer, not killers, but cool people who have interesting stories. Bangers, straight bangers. This podcast is a caffeinated adventure. I always have a big fat cup of coffee. It's a caffeinated adventure and lighthearted adventure through the world of Bigfoot, cryptids, all things paranormal. I might get into a little science, a little conspiracy. I like to talk dinosaurs. I've had paleontologists on. Just how we roll. And I think that the science and paleontology and archaeology play a big role in the cryptid thing, because if they were there, then maybe there's fossils. You never know. Anyway, this show airs on YouTube Sundays and Thursdays. Sometimes it's live, sometimes it's pre-recorded. And I'm booked solid for months, like I said, with some killer guests. Don't miss a thing. Please subscribe once again. I put this thing up on iTunes, Spotify, all the different apps all the different apps you can have on your phone. The standard ones, iHeartRadio. I can never think of one other than iHeartRadio. Google Podcast. All ways to listen to that are on BobbyDizzle.com. There's a tab or a little clicky thing you can click with your clicker that says listen, all ways to listen on your phone. BobbyDizzle.com. Check it out. But before we get to our guest, I have one more favor to ask you, my loyal audience. I want everyone to head over to BobbyDizzle.com. Join the Facebook group. There's a tab at the top of the page of BobbyDizzle.com. Just do it. It's where I post things. You can post things. I post a lot of bonus stuff there, and it's just where I'm going to do it. It's like my first landing. I got another page, but I post from there to there. So go to BobbyDizzle.com. Join the Facebook group. It's called Coffee and Bigfoot. The group dedicated to this podcast. I can't think of the name of it right now, but you can't miss it. Anyway, tonight's guest, LeRoy Nail, leader of the IBRO, the Indiana Bigfoot Research Organization. His experience with eyeshine, he sees eyeshine a lot, and it's cool. Infrasound and stories of the findings of his teams has made in Indiana. What did I write? I have notes, fourth wall. But his experience with eyeshine, infrasound, and stories of the findings his team has made in Indiana is the stuff of legends. We had a good time. We talked for nearly 2 hours, some on, some off the air. And he's got a Bigfoot convention happening next year, and that your boy may drive up and see, because it's in southern Indiana. I can get there from Alabama and not have to hurt myself. So without any other pomp and circumstance, please subscribe, please share. Here's LeRoy Nail, IBRO, Indiana Bigfoot Research Association. Let's do this. Welcome to the show, LeRoy Nail. You are leader of the Indiana Bigfoot Research Organization. Am I correct in that? IBRO?
Yes, you are.
All right, yeah. And everybody, we of course got to talk about what we're drinking here. I got the Nespresso Super D-Duper Dark roast from the expensive K-Cup machine, and LeRoy has a Pepsi because we're classy like that.
Plain Pepsi. Yep. I didn't put nothing in it.
George Costanza special.
There's no additives put in it.
It's okay if there was. That's the best thing for a bologna sandwich I ever have is a cold Pepsi. I don't know why. So let's talk about this Indiana Bigfoot Research Organization. It might be the last time I say that. That is a mouthful. But I did not know that little area. See, my family is from Vincennes. I did not know the whole Indiana, Illinois area was eat up with Bigfoot. Like, I've talked to at least a dozen people.
Yes.
And you wouldn't think. Like, which part are you in of Indiana?
I'm in central Indiana. I'm just south of Indianapolis.
Okay, so you're in the
Is where we're
heartland.
located at, and to be honest with you, um, 10 years ago, or a little bit more than 10 years ago, there was a guy that was going to was doing a library presentation. Steve Abney was going to do this library presentation, and I'm reading it online where he's having this presentation. I'm going, I got to hear this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Sasquatch in Indiana? No.
Yeah, that's how I felt.
I'm like, no. Out west,
In the flat part, the flat part of Indiana.
In some deeper woods. We don't have deep
Mm-hmm.
enough woods around here for, something like that to be living. Well, myself and a lot of people was wrong. It doesn't take that deep woods, and they're all over the place here.
Yeah,
I
like
know
it's just those little nooks and crannies of woods in between the fields.
Yes, that's all it takes.
5-10 acres.
It doesn't take a whole lot that they'll travel through, and they may travel through those areas, quite often that they're traveling through that area.
Mm-hmm. Do you see them follow the water and stuff through the creeks? What they typically do?
They go along ditch lines, creeks, anywhere where they're going to kind of stay hidden.
Yeah, that's crazy. I told you my family's from Vincennes, and they had a house on the Wabash, and so I'm thinking, man, will they eat up with Sasquatch or not?
Yeah,
way out in the country.
Yeah, I went over that way, over along the Wabash. It's been a few years ago, but talked to a gentleman that they're around his house, and they'll actually stand on the other side of the road from his house, and we'll throw things at him on his porch. And he has seen him a number of times and went out behind his house. And there was a time we went back there, and you could see where one come through, sat down and ate the berries. His butt print and his legs was just perfect print of the butt and the legs spread and just berries, that was there on the ground. Pretty interesting.
Was he sitting Indian style? Like cross-legged?
No, just legs straight out. You could just see the imprint in the grass with its legs. The legs was just straight out, and there was little pieces of berries and stuff that was in the grass that was still standing up. So it was still pretty fresh when we seen it.
Was it like that one sighting that's famous now where the Bigfoot fell down in the mud? Had just its body print like this? I can't think of the name of it. It's one of the more famous castings they have.
Yeah,
I didn't think about it, but I guess Indiana, it's known it's the corn. If you've ever been there, and you have, I wonder if when the corn gets high, if they can run through that kind of like a buffer zone, kind of extends their range a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's the way they travel, especially during the summer. They'll move through the corn. I think they'll move through any of those areas that they're hidden.
Yeah, it's kind of like a land bridge.
Yeah, they don't step out in the light where very often. No. They pretty much stay hidden.
I had a young lady from up near South Bend, I think, and she was showing me pictures, and it was in the corn right when it was getting ready to pick, and it's tallest, tasseled and everything, and the Bigfoot were in there. You could see it almost tall, almost through the tassels. You could see its little cone head.
Yeah.
You probably met her, Sydney Kreider. She's always on every podcast, it seems like.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got some of her pictures.
Yeah.
I got some of her pictures that she showed me.
Yeah, probably the same ones.
Yeah, probably the same one. Because I think I've seen that picture. One with it sticking up out of there. I believe I have that picture somewhere.
She was on here. Her internet was terrible. But we did about 15, 20 minutes, just kind of an introductory, and she was showing me where she was, and it was just like you were just saying, like it was field and a little patch of woods that was low where a tractor couldn't get to, so it grew up over the years. She was showing me where she saw them all the time, and that makes total sense.
Well, we just
here in Hutzel. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
We went up to just north of Indianapolis, a little ways, just northeast of Indianapolis just a few weeks ago, just in this last 1st of June, I believe, or 1st of July. I forget now.
Mm-hmm.
End of June, 1st of July, that we went up. And it was the same type of a situation. A lady said that May 22nd, she had seen one. And she'd went out to feed her horse that night. That's when she would go out to feed her horses,
Mm-hmm.
was after dark. And this was 11, 12 o'clock at night that she went out to feed her horse. And she noticed that her male horse was being real skittish and kept looking over its shoulder. So as she looked back across the field, she seen a Sasquatch come out of the field and walk across the back of the neighbor's yard and head towards the other side of the road from him. Mm-hmm. And so we went up there and got looking at, and again, it's just fields all the way around them, but you got a little bit of woods. And they said that we didn't see any prints that day, but they'd been finding prints there. And there was every reason for a Sasquatch to come in because there was all kind of feed there all the time between corn and the horse feed and beating cats, outside. And there was all kind of reasons. It's like, yeah, it's just perfect opportunity to come in around them. But the one thing that was really kind of funny about that one was she was telling me about it, and she was worried about her horses, that they might do something to her horses. I said, well, I said, I've never seen it, but the only thing that I've ever heard of a Sasquatch doing with a horse is braiding their hair. And she just kind of stopped and went, do what? Are you being serious? And I said, yeah, why? She goes, well, we've been wondering why our mare's mane keeps getting braided.
Well, really?
We was wondering who's coming over and doing this. So that's kind of interesting. I told her, I said, well, the next time it does it, please take a picture because I want to see it. So
yeah, that's unique.
Kind of interesting. Just one of the stories that I heard that they would do, but I've never seen it. I can't say that I've ever seen it done, but she was saying, yeah, her mare, which is real friendly to everybody and didn't seem to be spooked that night that they come through there, was just standing there eating, not even paying attention to them.
Must be very.
Saying, yeah, her hair keeps getting braided. Has been getting braided over the year.
See,
so, kind of interesting.
I would have a harder time with that if I had an animal that just got randomly braided hair.
Yeah,
especially the size of a horse. I would want to know what local hippie or satanic cult was coming into the middle of the night.
Yeah, coming in there and doing it.
I would have to put a camera up or something.
Yeah, so it's just one of those. It was one of those funny things. I'm like, well, that it's really strange. But like I said, she didn't have any pictures of it, so hopefully, maybe it'll do it again and she'll take a picture of it. I don't know.
That makes me want to put like an APB out. See if anybody's horses have randomly braided hair.
Yeah, it's a question that needs to be asked more because it's something that I heard a while back, and I honestly don't remember who told me, where I heard it from, but it's all I'd ever heard anything about a horse, besides maybe being spooked.
I heard somebody say that a Sasquatch was trying to breed a horse one time. I don't know if that was a joke, but I was like, what? So I thought. I was hoping you weren't about to say that one. Like, sugar to goodness. I was like,
no. No, we're not going there.
I think that was like a Reddit thread or something, to be honest. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Each his own. But I guess if you're hanging out all day in the Sasquatch camp, you don't braid hair, especially if they all have that hair like the one that Igor over in Russia has.
Yeah.
What's his name? Geisha?
Well, it depends depends on some of the people that you talk about that has had good sightings. They'll tell you, some of them, because you would think that their hair would be all matted and nasty and everything else. And I've had a few say, no, the one I had long, beautiful, flowing hair, that wasn't all matted, wasn't like that, didn't look like that, so Maybe
Yeah.
some are different. I don't know.
It would make sense if it can grow hair. That maybe some varieties can have a some monkeys have nice hair and some don't.
Yeah. So it could be different. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've heard that a few times.
Well, have you ever had any experiences of your own? Some real good ones, like up close, eyeball to eyeball. Yeah.
Well, I've seen eye shine.
Mm-hmm.
I have not physically seen one that I could say I had a Class A sighting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the
Me
closest thing
neither.
that I've had to that is the eye shine. I've seen eye shine a few times now, but the best one was I think it was last year that we was in an area and there was a guy. There was a few of us there, but there was a guy. He was standing on the edge of the road, and he looked at me and he goes, "Hey, come here." So I walked out into the road and he goes, "Look," and looked across, and I know where I'm looking into. I'm looking dead into the woods where there's nobody around whatsoever, and really a hill behind it. And I could see the glowing eyes that was lighting up the back of a tree like someone had a glow stick on it. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, whoa. And then so I tell my wife, and she gets up and she walks out there and she goes, "I see both eyes." And we watched it go dim, go back bright, and then just turn off. And then we never heard nothing walk away, nothing ever moved, nothing. But so the first question everybody would ask is, well, why wouldn't you turn the light on? Well, the way we research now, which has changed over the years, but the way we do it
Mm-hmm.
now is total respect. We're not going to turn a light on them. We're not going to try to capture anything on them. We're not going to try to do anything. So the last thing we want to do is turn a light on because we want them to come in and interact with us. And in this particular place, we've had several interactions there. So we want them to come in and do that. So we don't really flip on lights. I looked at it as that was cool. And I thanked it for showing us, showing your eyes, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how we do things. We talk to them. We thank them when they come around us, when they walk around us, because they'll come up. I've had cases just this year where I heard them literally walking just outside of what you can see, just outside of the firelight of the fire, the light of the fire, just on the edge of the
Mm-hmm.
woods. You can hear the footsteps literally come all the way around us, circling around us. And the one that come around, it had done about a 180 around us. And as it come around, then there was eye shine right in front of me, right where the footsteps had walked up to. Then I could see its eyes down there. And again, we don't flip on the lights, We thank it for coming in. We just say, thank you for showing us your eyes. Thank you for coming in, letting us know that you're there. So I've had a few cases like that. I've had different experiences where we've had rocks thrown at us.
Mm-hmm.
They're not trying to hurt us. They're just trying to say, hey, we're here. And if they want you to leave, those rocks will tend to get a little bit bigger
Yeah.
until
Start growing in
until you
size.
yeah until you get the hint, hey, we want you to leave. You know.
Now, do
So
you ever have you ever had any kind of the mental games played, telepathy or the telepathy or the zapping or like a headache or anything like that?
no, I don't get a headache. Now I get when one comes in, and if it's and when I'm looking in the direction that they're in, and I've
Mm-hmm.
actually learned that I can turn and look the other direction and I won't feel it. But I can look, if I'm looking at the direction that they're standing in, I'll get a real nervous, and I don't know how to explain it, but almost a real nervous feeling in my chest, just a deep nervous feeling. But I can turn the other direction, just turn around, and then that's gone. And if they
Hmm.
move, I can water wherever they're at. If I turn that direction and I start feeling it, that's when I may hear footsteps in that area. I may see the eye shine in that area. But if I turn around, face the other direction, I know that they're not there because that feeling immediately goes away. So if it's I don't know if it's just a gut nervous feeling that I get
Mm-hmm.
because I feel their presence right there. or just how it is. Now, I've been around others that get headaches, and just this past weekend had some teenage girls with us, and that's what they was experiencing. We had them
Getting
in
headaches.
around us, and they was getting headaches. So they had to go sit in the vehicle to kind of block that because they was getting, both of them was getting
Yeah.
headaches.
They were getting told to get the heck out of there.
Yeah. So interesting. You know, you can't put anything on it. I've seen some weird things that I can't explain. What happened to the person? Did they get zapped? You know, I'm being told even when I get those nervous feelings, that's part of being zapped. That's that infrasound hitting you.
Yeah.
I honestly, I myself, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just,
Probably. They probably like know you're not a threat since all the trustworthy efforts you put into, like you were describing. No
yeah,
lights
because
or chasing or anything like that.
yeah, we've got to the point where we don't even carry voice recorders on us anymore. I very seldom even have a flashlight on me. But we don't go walking down into the woods. We know areas that they're at. We just go to those areas and we sit, and they will come into us. If they're in that area that night, they'll come to us. And they'll let us know that they're there.
What kind of terrain do you look for when it comes to those kind of areas?
Hilly.
What
Needs a
when you
steep
go
ravine.
into them? Yeah, yeah. Do
It
you
needs
go
a
like
steep
down
ravine
inside
going
of it?
off of it. Yeah. Because they'll come up those steep ravines.
Mm-hmm.
They keep out of
Wow.
sight, and they can come up that steep ravine right up towards you. And it's got to be dark. So
Oh
if
yeah.
it's an open area like a field, they're not going to come in around us. But if you go, if it's a heavily wooded area and you're in an open area and it's got a ravine that can come up to it, they can stay hidden and they can come right up close to you by staying deep, staying in the shadows of the woods, because that's what they'll
I've
do.
heard of I've heard of people like getting down in like the area like the ravine inside of it, and they like having the high ground so
Yeah,
they
and
can
they
see
get
you.
around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So
they'll
you said
circle.
this.
They'll
You
circle.
said the same thing. That's kind of creepy.
Yeah. Well, the first thing they
Wow.
do when they come in is circle you.
Mm-hmm.
If you hear one on, one side of you, I can guarantee there's 2 to 3 more, and they already have you circled. Because they'll go all the way around you. They'll circle you,
Oh yeah.
and we know that because we've heard them whistling back and forth, or they may make sounds where they're making sounds back and forth to each other as they circle around you. So we've got used to that, and that's what we're listening for when they come in around us. So that's just some of the stuff that we've got used to. Like I
Okay.
said,
Did
we
they ever
know
do the
we're
owls?
not no more. Used to. I used to make a whoop or a howl or something like that, but I don't know what I'm saying to him. I might be pissing the guy off.
Oh no, no. I mean, do they do the owls to you? I mean, not you. But imitate the owls. The hoot owl.
Oh yeah, the owls. Yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
barn owl. They'll imitate that barn owl, but barn owls don't typically throw rocks,
Nope,
and
no,
that's
not typically. Do you
not
know?
typically, but that's what you'd hear a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
If we start getting barn owls around us, start hearing some barn owls coming in, we're real interested, because that's when we really start listening to what's going on. Because yeah, those barn owls don't typically throw rocks, and we got one area where they come in like that,
No,
and that's when they'll start pitching a little bit of rocks to you.
I want to write that down. But it's funny you said that because I interviewed a guy, David Parker. You may know him from Iowa. He's from the Iowa border in Missouri. Sorry, I'm writing this down for a T-shirt. Barn owls don't typically throw rocks, but but he sent me when I first started doing this podcast. See, I've been obsessed with Bigfoot. It's been a fun topic of mine since I was little, but I was always a cautious skeptic. Loved the idea. Kind of thought, maybe it's just a thing. Then he sends me the barn owl. The whoo, 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 whoo. I've been doing that
Yeah,
my whole life, deer hunting and stuff. And then you hear a rock hit the top of his shed. And it just, the hoot owls are just keep going. Like they're just back and forth. I'm like, dude, that's owls. He goes, no, they do that. I'm like, you're so full of shit. Like, why am I entertaining this still? I am 40 years old. And then I talk to, not just you now, but like half a dozen other people say the same thing. Yeah, they imitate the hoot owl. But the difference is they don't do the whoo at the end. They go whoo.
Yeah.
And he goes,
and I'm not good at that, so I can't do that. But we got a guy that's with us that does it. He can do that barn owl so good. He can call them in like
drunker my family gets, the more we act like hoot owls. We could be Sasquatches. That might be why I like them so much.
Yeah, but they will do that. We had one night where we listened to probably 3 of them coming up. Well, 2 of them was in a valley coming towards us, and one was on the ridge off to one side, and you could hear them. They come all the way. It was coming up towards us, and then when they got real close, that's when we started getting the rocks, and it's like, wow. But that night sounded like we was in a jungle with a bunch of monkeys and everything else. It was a different type of night. And then the thing on that was, even though, there's owls out there that make all kind of noises, and people say that's it. But normally if you turn one little light on, shining it straight down, that don't scare owls and everything else off. But we turned one light, was pointed down towards the ground, one small light, and that was it. Everything ended. Everything that was going on around.
Complete silence?
Yep, complete silence, and never did have nothing else.
Yeah.
By turning one light on.
That's generally it takes so long.
Yeah, that's why we tell anybody that's going out, do not turn the light on. Everybody wants to flip that light on, but it's like you turn it on, and whatever's going on will end.
And they disappear quick.
If you want that experience, you got to stand there and be nervous and be a little scared sometimes, and just let them move around you. They're not going to do anything.
If they would have done it already.
If they wanted you, they would have had you. There ain't anything that you're going to do to stop them if they wanted you.
Yeah. Let the Wookiee win.
Yeah, and I'm a firm believer on that. Unless they're provoked and there's a reason that they would need to, they're not going to do nothing to you. So
it'd be a lot more prevalent if it was.
Yeah, but the thing is, they'll come in. We've watched them come in, and they'll low crawl in. They'll get down and be doing a low crawl, and you'll see the eye shine coming up towards you as they're doing a low crawl, sneaking up on top of you. And I've heard people, and they've reported, well, they was crawling in towards you, so we shot the gun because they was coming in to attack. No, they wasn't. They was doing their normal behavior. They're sneaking up.
We shot the gun.
Yeah, what were you shooting at? You're shooting in the dark? What an idiot.
That's what gives, I dare say, country people a bad name, is just the tendency just to do stuff like that. It's not even thinking.
I'm like, and you want to go out Bigfooting with us? I don't think so.
So I think I've got an unfair, or not unfair, just an advantage for the first time that I ever do it. I've probably been Bigfooting and not on purpose before. I probably just got amongst them or something. This probably happened to me by accident. But like the first time I go, I know how to think now. I know what to do. Don't go out there with an AR-15 on your back.
You won't see nothing.
No.
We had a guy tell us one time, if you want to go Sasquatching, if you want to go out Bigfoot, put on a Hawaiian shirt. The last thing you want to do is look like a hunter. So put on a Hawaiian shirt, be bright and colored, and just go out there and be yourself.
That's a good idea.
And when we go out, that's what we do. Honestly, we'll sit down. There's times that we go out. I pull the gas fire pit out of the back of the truck. I set it down. I light it. I have a fire. We sit around in our lawn chairs around it, and we sit there and talk and have conversations. And we'll sit there and joke, and we'll laugh, and we'll listen behind us for what's going on, listen for them owls to be coming into us, and that's what it is. And I tell people the worst case that we may have, on some of our stuff that we'll do like this, if we're out, the worst case, we might sit around a fire and drink a beer or two.
Yeah.
That's the worst case
scenario. The worst case scenario.
That's the worst case scenario.
That sounds awful.
It sounds awful. And, It's exactly what we was doing even just this past weekend. We was sitting around a fire. We wasn't drinking beer, but we was just sitting around the fire talking, and had them come in around us. We've done that. I don't know how many times we've done that this summer. We've had several experiences just this summer.
Man, it just hit me that we were sitting around drinking by a boat ramp a long time ago, and a dead tree 15 yards from us got pushed down. It's out of nowhere. That's crazy. I wonder if that had anything to do with it. We weren't trying to Bigfoot or anything.
Yeah, and you don't know. And some people everything is a Bigfoot, and then there's sometimes that it's explain to me why that tree just broke when there was no wind, there was no nothing. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that tree. Dead summer, and that tree just snapped and broke over in the middle of the night. Right here. Tell me what just done that. Might have been a big coon, but sure didn't hit the ground.
Didn't run off when it hit.
Yeah, it didn't run off when it hit, so a lot of it, a lot of things you can debunk. You can say, that it could be anything. But
it's just
when you hear the footsteps, you hear that bipedal thing walking around you, and you know that it's not a person. They're not tripping through that thick of woods around you with no type of light, no nothing.
Yeah, human's gonna fall down something like that.
Yeah, you're gonna hear.
Unless it's a lost tribe or something.
Yeah,
some kind of Native Americans.
Exactly.
I know I would. Do you just go to one spot, or you got 4 or 5 different areas in your?
Yeah, we got several different areas. We got different areas in Indiana that we go to, and we know where they're at. Like I said, we know several areas where they're actually at, and a few different clans.
Always near water, like a stream or something.
Yeah, there's a water source there. You can say that. There's always a water source somewhere close. And these areas, they're large. They're large areas that I'm talking about. We might go to a couple different places within that one area that we figured is just that one clan. If they happen to be in that spot that night, you may hear them or you may not. They may be in another section of the woods, but it's still in that one general area. You got
any guys in your group there, the IBRO, that have like a Class A? It's like the walking dog.
Yes, we've got several of them that's in our what we consider our core group has had visual sightings. We had one lady that had one standing probably within 5 foot of her, so she said she could almost reach out and touch it. And the thing about it was there was a number of us standing there. And we had a guy with us that my wife and I used to work with. And we ran into him one day, and he'd been recently divorced, had a new girlfriend. And when he introduced us, he says, these people do Bigfoot. And that's he could care less about it. But he said it as a joke. Well, she was totally interested. She was all over it. So we invited him to go with us that night. So won't you come and go with us? We're going out tonight, so come and go with us. So he brought her just to please her, most likely, because he definitely didn't take anything very serious. So we're standing in this parking lot, and we heard some noises, like to our right. We heard some noises, and we're listening, and then there's a rock that hits, and I'm thinking, wow, are they coming in and throwing some rocks at us tonight? Kind of interesting here. And then I realize I see him throw a rock back in. So I'm like going, okay. At this point, I'm writing off anything that we just heard. To him, it's a joke. He's throwing the rocks back, and he may be throwing all the rocks, as far as I know. So I'm kind of writing it off. And then back to Back to our left, someone said, "Hey, I think I just seen a shadow go across the road down there. I don't know for sure, but it looked like a shadow went across." So we're still watching, not really hearing anything. Well, she walks around the, about 180 degrees from where we're at and walks in front of some vehicles right on the edge of the wood line. Well, when she comes back around, she walks up to my wife and goes, "Wow, I got the heebie-jeebies." And that's all she said, and we left. We left for the night. 3 days later, she goes, "When I walked around in the front of the truck, there was one standing right there in front of me. I could have reached out and touched it." And we're like, "Yeah, you're just now telling us?" And she goes, "Don't ask me why." She goes, "But yeah, it's taken me this long to stay what I really seen." And then this thing was standing right there. He was standing right there looking down at me, standing real still.
Well, it must have had her thrown off. She had to wait like 3 days.
Yeah, we still don't know. We don't know why it took her so long to say it, but she's one of our main researchers.
She's in the council now, isn't she?
Yeah, it's like she's telling us. We have no reason to disbelieve her whatsoever. But she was like, still to this day, she'll say, I still don't understand why I didn't say then. She goes, "I don't know if it just took me that long to put it all together." But in that particular spot that happened, we've had numerous encounters, and had a group just 2 weeks ago that had numerous encounters right there. They was having a lot of interaction, eye shine, walking around them, and everything else just 2 weeks ago in the very same spot.
Oh, I wonder if they didn't do something like make her lose time or something for a few days.
I don't know. We had in that very same spot. I had one of the weirdest experiences I ever had. Bigfoot. Well, I won't say the weirdest because I've had weirder. But it was a strange experience. And it was in the middle of the day, middle of the afternoon. We was getting ready to take a group on a hike, and one of the ladies just come unglued. You thought she was possessed. The way she was flipping her head around and talking, and I'm sitting on the tailgate of my truck, and this lady is literally climbing on top of me, and I don't know her. I just met her. And she's literally climbing up in my lap and on top of me and going ballistic. And I'm looking at her going, "What in the world?" And then her mom turns around and looks in the woods and says, "That's enough, leave her." And she just like dropped. She just kind of went limp right there, and everything quit. And I'm like, it's hard to explain. It was one of those times that I so wish that we had a camera rolling at the time and could have recorded the whole thing, so that we could go back and look at it and go, because I kept asking our mom, is this normal? And she goes, "No, I've never seen her do anything like that."
Damn, it's kind of epileptic-esque, but not.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that people would say, "Well, maybe she did get zapped. Maybe she was the weakest in it, and it hit her the hardest." But it's just in that one spot. We have a lot of activity in that spot. I guess that's why we go back there a lot. But
yeah, that would make a lot of sense. I'm still stuck on the lady that took 3 days to tell about it. I met a guy in Minnesota that he's got 40 acres and he's knows them off the back of his hand. He's 65 years old, give or take, and he got lost in his own place on the trail that he cut. And he envisioned in his mind he was where he thought he was, but he looked up and he wasn't. And that's the same kind of behavior. I think he gets zapped all the time, to be honest. It's just normal for him. He just doesn't know what it is.
It could be. It could be. It's one of those things that we really just don't understand. Doesn't fit a lot of science.
No.
I can't explain it. That's why I keep Bigfooting, is because I can't explain so many different things that we've had happen. I can't explain it. And you can't tell someone to get them to believe it. I tell them, you have to experience this. You have to go out and actually experience it. But you at the same time, you have people that one could grab them by their ankles, shake them upside down in front of them, and they'd still say, no, it wasn't. That wasn't. Yeah. Well,
That's just a guy in a suit. He's just in a monkey suit.
Yeah, that's just a guy in a suit that was strong, a little bit taller than me. Well,
7'8", could have played for the NBA.
Yeah. So
wide as a Honda Civic.
Yeah, exactly. And matter of fact, I've had several that has told me that has seen them, that when they take off running through the woods, that they look like a linebacker running, because they're the way they'll move. They'll actually twist and turn to get through the trees. They'll turn their shoulders, a certain way, and they can just slip right through the trees. And they say, man, they're just as slick as they can be when they take off through the woods.
I bet if an elk can do what they do, and Bigfoot can definitely be something impressive.
Yeah.
If an elk can run through the woods, anything can. Nothing shocks me.
Yeah. We had
especially in those in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, there was 3 guys earlier this year that was in one of our spots, and we had been out there earlier and was listening to them. It was the same night I had them walk around in front of me, and I could see the eye shine right in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
And after we had left, it continued. All of this kept continuing, and they thought at one time they thought they was actually getting charged, that one was running at him.
Really?
But it turned out that it was up so close to him, and when it ran away, it sounded like it was actually running to him, and they didn't realize it until it got far enough away from him that the sound was going away from him. But they was like, oh, when it first took off, they was like, oh, and the guy was going, the one guy was saying it just literally scared the crap out of him, because he thought it was coming in on top of him. And he realized the sound's actually going away. No, it actually just went away from us. And then it ran back. I guess it ran back and forth in front of them for a little bit, for a few minutes. This is just juveniles having fun.
Yeah, it's always.
There's the clan right there where they're at. That's that area that they're in. We know that there's a clan there, and the juveniles are usually the ones that come in and mess with you. And every once in a while, you'll hear maybe the adult in the background let out a scream or something. We figure it's just the adults going to get your ass back over here and leave them alone.
Is that the elephant woman scream in between, like a humpback?
Yeah, this one when the female screams, you can hear the female in it. It'll make a higher scream. The male almost sounds like a bull or something, as he comes through. It's a real deep growly as he comes through the area, if he comes up close.
Somebody said it was like a humpback and an elephant and a woman all mixed together.
Yeah. We've actually got a recording of the male, and it's kind of wild. And that recording was made March of 2017, I believe. And in June, I heard it come right through the middle of the campground in the middle of the night when I was camping. And I was just in a pop-up camper. And when he come right through the middle of the campground, I sat straight up in my bed in that pop-up camper. And for some reason, I didn't get out and look. I just kind of sat there and heard it go through. Then went, well, he's gone. So I just kind of laid back down in the bed and went back to sleep. So I should have got up
through camp.
Yeah, he was just rolling through camp. That's all he was doing. I should have got up and walked out and left, but I heard him and I thought, well, I'll just stay right in here inside this tent.
I mean, do you ever have any like the electronic stuff get messed up when you're out there and you don't even try anymore?
Don't even try. I don't even. Like I said,
it's almost not worth it because we know it doesn't work.
Yeah, well, I very seldom even carry a recorder on me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I very seldom, and then to be honest with you, it's like your thermal imagers and things like that. I can't spend $700 on this stuff that
No.
I really haven't seen a whole lot of evidence come out of them. So I don't have the money to spend on things like that. So I don't have none of it.
I've
And
seen
got
more
to the
on
point
thermal
now
than I
where I'm
have
like,
on. I've seen more on thermal than I have in pictures, honestly, but
yeah,
not really enough to justify a cool grand.
yeah. Well, that's what I'm kind of saying. I've seen some pictures on them.
Yeah.
And yeah, they'd be cool, but I don't know if there's get enough off of it to make it worth spending that kind of money on.
Yeah, just a silhouette of a dude basically is all you're getting. Maybe
Yeah,
if you're lucky. Have you ever seen any
yeah,
good pictures at all, like real pictures that people have?
yeah, yeah. I've seen some. I've got one. I got one that some people took that I've got, and I know the picture's real. There's no doubt in my mind. It was my cousin's sister-in-law. They took the picture, and they wasn't even taking a picture of the Sasquatch. They was just taking a picture, and then later zoomed in on the picture, and there's one in the background. And
Just zoom in the background as a giant
yeah,
monkey.
when she zoomed in, there was one walking through the creek, and when we went down and recreated the picture, um, she looks at my cousin and smacks him. She goes, "I told you I heard something." He looked at me and he goes, "Dude, I deer hunt right here." He goes, "January 1st, what would you think if you heard something walking in the woods over there?" He goes, "I just thought it was a deer."
Squirrel.
He goes, "I thought whatever might have been walking over there might have just been a deer. I wasn't paying no attention to it. I wasn't deer hunting. We was panning for gold that day. So I wasn't paying any attention to it." And she just happened to snap a picture in the right direction at the right time. And then didn't see the picture, didn't see it until it was like June before she ever seen it. Until she happened to zoom in on that picture. And then
The way their natural camouflage works is amazing. That's half the battle.
Yeah, that's half of it. That fur is kind of translucent and just picks up all the different colors and just blends right in. That's why people say they'll just stand still, drop their arm straight down, their head down, and will look like a stump out there.
Yeah,
But
the she squatcher saw him doing that. He said thought it was just a dead tree, and it wasn't there 5 minutes later.
Yeah, exactly. And I had a guy, one of the guys that I used to work with, thought that it was a joke. He just really kind of laughed. But he was doing some work on a road that's right in our most active spot. And actually, he had no idea, even when he went to tell me this story, that the spot that he was in is our most active spot that we have. And he was telling me, he goes, "Hey, I got something to tell you." And he started telling me where he was at. And and I immediately knew where he was at, the parking lot that he was in. I immediately knew it. And I said, "Yeah, what?" And he goes, "I pulled up there one morning." He goes, "And I looked up on the ridge across from me." He goes, "I thought that stump looked kind of weird." He goes, "And I pull out my phone." He goes, "I'm going to take a picture of it." And the phone starts ringing. He goes, so I answer, I take the call. And he goes, when I get done taking the call, he goes, I turn back around right with my phone to take the picture of that stump. And he goes, "It was gone." And he looks at me and goes, "Would that been one of your kind of hairy friends out there that you're always talking about?" And I'm like, "Yeah, very well could be." I never did tell him, and he never knew that is the hottest spot. That's right where we had the eye shine that one night that I'm talking about that was glowing on the back of the tree. Right there. That's where he was talking about. We've got footprints there. We've been hit with rocks there. We've had handprints put on vehicles there. You name it, we've had it right there. And this is
a public area?
Huh?
Is it like a public campground or something? Public hunting ground?
It's a public road.
Oh.
It's just a county road. It's a parking lot off of the county road.
Okay. There you go. So it's right there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'll tell you this. we was sitting there one night and had my gas fire pit out, and conservation officers would come pulling up and went slamming on the brakes because he thought we had a fire built there, until he realized it was gas. And then he started asking us what we was doing. So told him we was Bigfooting, just out listening for sounds, which he thought was hilarious and didn't believe any of it. But within 10 minutes, then he's telling me about a story of that they'd got a report just down the road the week before of something running across the road. And I'm like, yeah, see, you're sitting here laughing about what we're doing, but you're getting reports.
I was about to say, ain't no way he didn't think you were halfway serious. Those guys get all that stuff.
Yeah, they get all that stuff. We know that. But, they just don't like to admit it. But they get that stuff all the time.
I don't even know why they don't like to admit it. If I was doing that, I would be obsessed. I don't know why it's such a taboo thing.
Yeah. I don't understand it either. But
if I was a park ranger in like the Smokies, just to give an example, and I knew that there was stories in the area, I would just that'd be what I did. I'm a Bigfoot person now. I would just drive my little Bronco around that area all day. So somebody saw a bear eating a trash can, I'd drive to do that.
Yeah, well, they don't like me going on certain jobs because they think that I'll spend most of my time looking in the woods and not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So
I don't know how you knowing what you know, doing what you do, even have a job, but I guess you got to have money.
Yeah, you got to have money. And you just, I don't know. It is a fun, great hobby. The IBRO, though, I'm going to put a plug in here, okay?
Yeah, I'm going to put the address, too, in the description.
We're getting ready we're stepping it up big time. Next year, we're going to actually present and hold the first Indiana Bigfoot Conference in Nashville, Indiana. 27th. Indiana. Yeah. Yeah, you know where that's at, don't you?
I've heard of it. It's just funny when I hear towns that aren't the same town. Huntsville, Tennessee, Nashville, Indiana, Hollywood, Kentucky.
Yeah. Well, Nashville, Indiana is buried in the middle of Bigfoot country. And we're going to hold the Indiana Bigfoot Conference the 27th, the 28th of 2024.
What month?
September.
September?
Yeah, September 27th and 28th.
I may go to the 2024?
Yeah, 2024.
Okay, it's 23 now. It is. Golly.
Yeah,
I think I may go to the Virginia one that year.
Yeah, we're planning. This is still over a year out. And we're in the planning stages of it right now. I'm still waiting to get back the flyer to officially start posting it and putting out that we're having it. But
are you taking sponsors and
speakers? We've got some speakers already lined up. Charlie Raymond done agreed that he's going to speak. And we've got some others that we're working with right now, trying to get them, seeing if we can get everything situated with them. Hopefully maybe the she squatchers will be able to join us too.
I'll talk to them for you.
I've talked to them.
They were just on 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I just seen them. We just spent some time with them here last month.
Yeah, I was thinking because you had the Greg Yost pictures. I bet you were with them in that same event when they were over there.
Well, yeah, I was. When they got done with Greg Yost, they come over towards Nashville and ended up in the Brown County State Park, and I went over and spent some time with them there.
They're so much fun.
Yeah. So
I don't even know if we talked about Bigfoot. We just talked about other stuff the whole time.
No, yeah, they're an interesting group, and yeah, I've already reached out to them. They got to check dates and stuff like that and see if they can.
I was just joking. I'm not a big spokesman or anything. I was just messing with you.
Yeah, but yeah, I've done reached out to them,
What about he's not he's just coming on the scene, Roger Williams, the Squatch and Holler. He's got some cool stories. He just spoke in
I
Gatlinburg, and I can hook
I
you up. He's
haven't.
not famous.
Yeah, I haven't heard of him.
He's on the scene. He's up and coming. He has got some good experiences.
Yeah,
He may be my
he's
co-host for you know it.
he's like Greg. Greg Yost is he's such a character.
Yeah, what do you think of old Greg? You ever seen him do his forest people and get them stirred up?
Oh yeah, yeah. Greg comes over. He comes over with us, and we go down there with him. There's something about Greg and his energy that he brings them in. I,
I'm
I
so scared
don't
to reach out
understand.
to him. He intimidates me.
I just lost everything here, but yeah, his energy. He has such an energy about him that when he goes out there, yeah, he stands out there and he starts talking to him and he's yelling at him to come on in, And I've had some pretty wild experiences with Greg while we've been down with Greg.
Like what happens?
So
You hear him coming in and throwing stuff off the trees, and I've heard a couple different experiences with him. But they just go
yeah,
nuts like a bunch of gorillas.
yeah, he had one experience, that, and I don't like to tell Greg stories because that's his deal. But
You
I
can give
will
an
say
outline.
that,
I'll have him on one day. I'm sure.
yeah, he. I'll tell you this. He was telling us a story one day. He'd been telling us this story about him pushing down 7 different trees one night, and very hard to believe. He showed me the trees that they pushed down, and I'm like, "There's no freaking way." Me and another guy's looking at each other, going, "Oh, what's was Greg on?" You know, this, But then another guy at probably 1 o'clock in the morning he comes in. We've never seen him. First time we met him. This is probably 1 o'clock in the morning. Greg's standing over on one side of the area, not even close to us. And Ernie's standing with us, and he tells us the identical story because he was with him that night.
Oh, was
I
it
mean,
Ernie Pack?
yeah, Ernie Pack.
Yeah, Ernie
He
told me
told,
that story. Yeah, that's wild.
yeah, and it was identical to what
Mm-hmm.
Greg said. And we looked and went, they either got their shit together or this really happened like they're talking.
Yeah, Ernie ain't gonna lie to you either.
Yeah, Ernie's not
He's
gonna lie
he's
to you.
he's legit.
Yeah. So
That's crazy. I was
so
when you
yeah,
sold that story just now. I'm like, that sounds like Ernie Pack's story. It's like the same
yeah.
thing he told me.
Ernie was with Greg the night it happened.
He said it went
So
nuts in that tree too.
yeah, yeah. So we've been over there with Greg when he's had a lot of good stuff.
He's in Kentucky. That's where he's at.
No, no, he's in southern Indiana, just right down on the border almost.
Okay, so basically,
He's almost in Louisville, but he's not.
right there across
He's
the
in,
Ohio River.
yeah, he's just across
The
the Ohio
Ohio.
River, just in all that squatchy area down in there. That's all just squatches everywhere down through there.
That's like a northern. Almost reminds you of Louisiana in that area. It's so low and swampy.
Yeah. So that whole area down in there is pretty interesting. That's Greg's stomping ground down there. So yeah, the IBRO, we support Greg big time as he supports us, and I try to, like I said, I try to stay away from Greg's stories. That's
Mhm.
that's his deal.
When I found out from Jen, the Jen Cruz,
Yeah,
that Greg had to go to work, I was so disappointed. I'm like, Greg doesn't have a job. Greg hangs out with Sasquatch.
yeah.
I was like, stop going to work.
He lives in the woods.
I know.
Yeah,
I follow him just kind of like from behind, like on his YouTube channel and some podcast he's on. I haven't asked him to be on yet because I'm scared I'll scare him off and he won't like me. Don't meet the icons, meet your heroes.
yeah,
But
yeah. He's a character. He's a character and a half. He's a lot of fun to talk to, and he's a blast to go squatching with. I can tell you that.
I bet. I bet I could. I bet I could talk Ernie into hooking me and him up,
Oh
or
yeah,
maybe even go through you. I don't know. Let me
yeah.
see how
We
far
can.
Nashville, Indiana is.
It's
I
30
know
miles
Nashville.
south of Indianapolis.
I know
Nashville
Nashville,
is in
Tennessee
between.
is.
It's in between Bloomington and Indianapolis.
Oh, there it is. Not far from
Is where
Vincennes.
Nashville is. Look for Brown County State Park because Nashville, Indiana, sits right outside of Brown County State Park.
Yeah, it's not too far from Vincennes
No,
as the crow flies.
as crow flies, it's an hour and a half,
Every
maybe.
time I say Bloomington, Indiana, I remember the Jeff Foxworthy sitcom was uh, took place in that town. Well, why would you put Foxworthy in Indiana?
Yeah,
Cool. Yeah, I mean that is nothing but woods.
yeah. Nashville sits in the middle of the woods. Nashville actually sits in the middle of a bunch of
Brown
squatchy
Brown County
areas.
State Park.
Yeah,
Sure as shit.
yeah.
Let me do the directions here.
You got Brown County State Park right there. You've got
Mm-hmm.
Yellowwood State Forest, goes over into the Morgan Monroe, which goes all the way back down into Hoosier National. That goes all the way down to the southern part of the state.
And that's where your convention's going to be.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's going to be right in the middle of all that. That's one of the
It's
reasons
not
I
that
wanted to
far
have
from
it
me at
there.
all.
It's one of the reasons I wanted to put it there.
Cool. Yeah, I may have to look into that. I was talking to Daniel Benoit with the ECBRO.
No.
He's you two would get along, but he's having one over in Shenandoah Valley in June of next year, and I'm here in northern Alabama. Northern Alabama.
I'm really stepping out for us doing this.
I think you'll have a good turnout if you advertise it.
Yeah.
Those things seem to get swarmed.
Yeah. So that's what we're hoping. We're hoping that it brings in enough to pay for itself, which is all we're really wanting.
I'm
And
looking into invest a little money into doing some of these, so I may be interested just to get my
so
name out there.
yeah. So yeah, we're looking for vendors, and like I said, I think we may have um, some of the speakers lined up so far, but we normally just hold outings where go we go out and actually, like Greg will come over and we'll have some people talk, but we'll spend 3 days in the woods and do some Bigfooting and bring anybody that wants to go with us and show them what we do and have a good time. This year, that's in October. I forget the actual dates, but we always have one. We usually have one in the spring and one in the fall. And that's all I normally do. But this year, I've got talked into going ahead and putting Indiana on the map for Bigfoot and saying let's have a Bigfoot convention.
It's a long time coming, and that's coming from somebody who's from the South with Indiana roots. I think it's Indiana and Illinois get a bad rap. I think with Chicago, and I think they need to be something else needs to be known for. They need to be known for something
Yeah.
else.
Well, we did a library presentation in June, and you're from that area down there, so you may know Owensville, Indiana. It's just north of Evansville, in between
Oh
Evansville
yeah,
and Vincennes.
yeah,
We did
I'm actually from Huntsville, Alabama, but
okay,
my family's all from Vincennes, but I do know where Evansville is.
okay. Well, this is just north of Evansville,
Oh yeah.
but we did a presentation down there. I think it was the 1st of June, and we had over 200 people show up just for a library presentation. That's how much interest there is in Southern Indiana. I was blown away that we had over 200 people, and I had to turn people away because it wasn't big enough.
Really?
Yeah, it was standing room only, and
Oh
people
my gosh.
didn't even get in, and that's because there's so much interest down there in southern Indiana, down in that area. So
I think
normally,
the interest countrywide is probably at an all-time high right now because everybody wants to talk about it. Used to, they wouldn't talk about it. Now everybody's got an opinion or knows somebody.
yeah, everybody knows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we've done several library presentations lately, and this year we've done more than normal. And normally we have 35, maybe 50 people, at a library presentation. But that time there was over 200, and we was a little shocked. I was shocked when we got there. When we got there, the place was packed. When we got there.
What venue are you renting out in Nashville, Indiana?
My mind is what are we getting over there, hon?
What?
The hotel?
Seasons.
The Seasons okay. Hotel.
Oh, I see it now. The Seasons Lodge.
Seasons Lodge, yeah.
I was going to say that it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of places that would hold a convention.
Yeah, but
maybe the next restaurant.
Yeah, they have a facility there that has like a 400-person capacity.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a bigger place.
Yeah, that's bigger, and then we've got rooms already reserved for. They're setting back all the rooms in the Seasons for us on that Friday night.
Friday and Saturday.
That Friday and Saturday, they've already got the rooms set back for us. So hopefully we'll sell that out, and then we'll have what they consider a VIP dinner with the speakers, if they'll all go with that too. So, but hopefully we're going to get our flyer out here in the next day or so. I kind of shot it back a little bit this afternoon to have one more revise on it.
September 27th and 28th next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be nice weather up there. Nice and cool.
It shouldn't be too bad.
Unless there's a tornado. But that's not that time of year.
Well, hopefully not.
That's not the right time of year.
We'll never know anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah, that's anytime anymore.
That's the most basements I've ever seen in my life was when I visited people up there. I'm like, man, everybody got a basement.
Well, there's a reason for that.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. I don't know why we don't have them here. We get just as many. It's stupid. Like everybody up there has them. We don't. We get just as many tornadoes in Huntsville.
Yeah. But
we get a tornado on a sunny day around here.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people in Indiana that's interested, and there's a lot of people that go out and research all the time. I don't think people realize how many people are out Bigfoot. We go out into some of these forests, and we run into people. And we know what they're doing. They may not say it, but we know what they're doing out there. You can tell.
You ever see somebody doing it? You ever see somebody doing it the wrong way? Like y'all are just messing everything up.
Yeah, you have that, but hey, if they're out there, what,
Not really hurting anything.
Yeah, it's not hurting anything.
Making a lot of noise. Whoop.
Yeah. And I say that you got to, there's a lot of ways that you can research. You can do by going out there and whipping it and doing tree knocks. You may get a response back. Tells you, hey, there is one in this area. And when you first start doing it, that's what you're kind of doing. All you're doing is if someone's just getting into it, they're looking for where they're at because they don't know where they're at. So if they go out there and they do that and they get a response back, they go, hey, there's something here. So they may spend more time in that area. But that's all you're going to get when you're doing that. You might get one response back. You might get a tree knock. You might get a whoop. You might get, you might get something to scream back at you. And you go, wow, man, that was cool. But after you do that for a while, then you start realizing you want more. And then your game kind of changes a little bit. And then you start learning what they're really doing and you figure out their areas. And that's what we've done over the years is our game has changed over the years. We started out doing tree knocks. We started out doing that, you know, and I have nothing against it. But the thing is,
Yeah.
if you're doing it when you're doing a tree knock, you might be screwing up their hunt. You know, if they're out there and they're doing some tree knocks or they're doing some whooping, they're talking back and forth to each other, they could be on a hunt. And when you do that tree knock back or you do a whoop, you might, I don't know what you're saying to them. You know, you might be yelling, "Come here, honey."
Yeah. Like asking for a date.
Yeah, you might be asking for a date, you know, or you might screw up their hunt, you know.
I've heard that some people start getting the infrasound and getting the headaches. So I get the hell out of here.
Yeah, and then that's kind of what happens. And we've just kind of evolved over time now that, and I can usually tell when I'm talking to someone that's doing squashing and they start talking about it, you can realize how much experience they have by some of the things that they say, you know, because if you get around anybody that's done it for a while, you don't write off anything. I don't care what someone's saying to you. You may not believe it, but don't write it off, because a year down the road, you may go, man, they was right. I've just experienced the same thing that I thought was totally crazy. Because that's what's happened to us. That's what's happened to me. Things that I thought people that I called the woo and say totally stay away from, just I ain't getting into that. Now I go, I can't explain it.
You like the woo?
You know, that woo-woo stuff that you're just going, whoa, that's too much for me, you know?
I love the woo-woo. I love it.
You
I
know?
thrive in it. That's my favorite part of the Bigfoot subjects, the woo-woo.
Yeah. So when people write all that off, you know, it's like, well, you know, you've had some experiences, but you haven't had that much, because if you did, you would start experiencing some of this and you would start understanding some of what you're going, man, you can't write off anything because you don't know what's going to happen. You're going to have things happen to you you cannot explain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just cannot go, well, that makes sense. Well, no.
I mean, just being able to make its eyes glow in the dark is crazy enough.
Yeah, it's crazy enough. Until you see it, you can't explain it, and you can't get someone to believe that. Because they're going, well, that ain't no way. You know, there's no way that, oh yeah, they did.
It's pretty consistent.
And they'll light them up. They'll make them brighter. They'll dim them down, you know. All different colors. You might see red. You might see blue, green, you know, white eye shine, everything, you know. And then some people say if you see red eyes, they're evil. Well, that's not necessarily the case. Greg Yost will tell you the one that he likes the best. He calls him Big Red because he has big red eyes, you know. And it's not that he's doing anything. It's not that he's mean. It's just he has red eyes. You know.
Do you guys get off in the portals and the clipping in and out, cloaking stuff much?
I used to say no way, but now, if you look at it and start thinking about it, okay, how come there's always 1 or 2 footprints and you don't normally see a trackway?
Yeah, no follow up.
No follow up, no nothing.
Yeah.
How did one be right beside us and put a handprint on a car and disappear, and we never heard it come in or we never seen it leave? Never heard it leave. How is that? So if you start looking,
there's so much of that. There's so much of that going on.
Yeah. I mean, we've had handprints put on a car while we're standing there. You know, we're standing in the front of it and they put a handprint on the back of a car. You know, it's like, how did it get in that close and we not hear it?
You didn't hear a 10-foot monkey walk up.
Yeah. How did we hear it walk up to us but never hear it walk away? That's what one guy that's with us right now, he'll tell you, he says, they're polite. This is what he's telling me one night. We're standing around the farm, we're listening, and he goes, man, these things are really polite. And I went, what do you mean by polite? He goes, they let me hear them walk up. He goes, they let me know they're coming in by hearing them. He goes, but I never hear them leave. He goes, they'll walk up, they'll be standing right outside the fire here. He goes, but I don't hear them walk away.
Yeah.
He says, you hear them come up. He goes, and that's because they're letting me hear them walk up here. He goes, but when they leave, they don't let me hear it. they're gone. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I can't dismiss the portal talk and stuff. I've heard too many people say they saw the same thing, just opening up and they're there, then they're not, cloaking like Predator. I thought it was all a load of crap till I heard the same 70-year-old men that couldn't work their own cell phone say the same thing.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. You can't. I don't understand that, and it doesn't make any sense to me. But I can't write any of it off anymore. Nope. One of the guys I know that has a video that I blowed up on my TV of a limb being broke out of a tree during the middle of, in broad daylight. Big limb breaks out of this tree, leaves on it and everything else. Well, what broke that limb? Because nothing come down with it. Nothing broke, It's calm. You can clearly see in the video it's calm outside. And this comes out of the top of the tree, probably 50 foot in air. And it comes swinging down. Well, when it actually swings down, if you slow it down and look, it almost looks like the predator or something in behind this limb as it comes down, like there's something cloaked behind it. And you're looking at it going, what is that? Did you actually catch one cloaked coming down out of a tree? I don't know. You can't explain it.
There's a pic of like an alleged cloaked one going around right now that's kind of cool looking. It's like I don't know if you see it or not.
Yeah. The only thing that we don't do is we don't put a lot of that out. A lot of those types of pictures and videos, those are pretty much kept close. We don't really share those.
Yeah, it doesn't really pay to do it either because you just get a bunch of crap from people.
You either get a bunch of crap from people or someone's going to steal it and claim it as theirs, and it's like, it ain't worth it. So why even mess with it? Just keep it to ourselves. And that's just knowledge that we have, Yeah,
the more I dig into this with meeting guys like you that have actual evidence, so to speak, I know why no one gives away their local clans or anything because it's not going to lead to a good end. It's no wonder they hide from us.
Yeah, it's no wonder we hide from them. And it's like I can take and show you right where they're at, but the only way that I
wouldn't want to be known to people if I was a Bigfoot.
Yeah,
crazy species.
Yeah, I don't know why they hide from us. We only hunt and we only kill everything that's in the woods.
Yeah, and destroy it with a bulldozer, burn it down.
Yeah. We either tear the woods up or we kill every animal out there. So it's like. I don't know why they hide from us. We're a lot more intelligent than what we are. We know by a lot of their behavior. We can tell by a lot of their behavior by habituation sites how they have forethought. They think about what they're doing because they bring stuff back. By habituation sites, we know that one of the ladies had a habituation site and it's still going.
Oh, a gifting area, you mean?
Yeah, gifting area.
Oh, okay.
They would take stuff, and of course, everything that she done, she put a date on it. She put the IBRO on it, and she put a date on it. So, like animal crackers, the bag would disappear. When it got empty, they would bring it back to the gifting site. It might be a couple weeks later, 2 or 3 weeks later, they would bring that bag back. They wanted more. They have forethought. If you ever talk to Jay Stewart out of Southern Indiana, he'll tell you the same thing. He'll tell you how he did his habituation site and they played different games with him and everything else, and how they had pure forethought that they would bring things to that they would introduce into the game and moving things around, putting them in different situations, taking Bolton seashells and flipping them in all kind of different directions, upside down, spinning them different ways. And after a while, when there's not much more combinations they could do, they bring in a shell from a creek. This is way up on top of a ridge, but they brought a shell out of a creek somewhere. They had forethought to bring that up there and add that shell into that game.
See, that'd be when it get real. Like they bring their own gift.
Yeah. The other lady that was doing all the gifting with us, they would bring her gifts. While she was down at their gifting site, they're liable to bring an arrow that's been out in the woods and stick it right in the middle of her campsite, sticking up. She'd come back from her gifting site, and there's an old arrow stuck in the middle of her campsite. You know,
They don't tell them what they
It was
got found
gifted
out
her.
there.
huh?
They don't tell them what they found out there.
Yeah,
In their
they
little
find all
nest,
kinds of
in their
stuff like
nest
that.
somewhere.
Yeah, they find all kinds of stuff like that. So they very much have forethought about what they're doing.
Have you ever heard of? You've heard of Michael Quast? Wrote the
No.
book about high strangeness. That's the guy from Minnesota. His farm. He said he had a can of Spam taken out of a Yeti cooler. You know, they got those real heavy duty rubber locks on or whatever that fasten it shut. And they ate the Spam out and put the can back and locked the cooler back.
Yeah. Well,
And took a
I'll tell you this, in the gifting side, and if you want to talk to someone that did a lot of gifting, is Edie Cato. Edie, by me, maiden name. She's on our
Bill?
Facebook page.
Bill Hemer.
Yeah, Bill. Yeah, Edie.
Okay.
She ran a gifting site for us. She ran her gifting site for a number of years, and some of the stuff that she got out of it was unbelievable on their forethought and what they did. She had balls that they put handprints in and brought back like a year later. Wore that ball out, no air left in it, and everything else.
It's good intel.
She's got a couple books out that actually talks about it, and but someone else is gifting in the same area right now that kind of took her gifting over some now, and they're still doing the very same things. We actually call them Oscar and Felix because one is real messy and one's neat. One will take the pie that you buy at Walmart in a little cardboard box in a tin. One will open that box up neatly and pull that pie out and eat it, stick the pan back in the box and leave it laying there. Where the other one will rip it open, eat the pie, smash the tin, and throw it down. They was doing that a number of years ago, several years ago for Edie, and now that someone else is doing it, it's the same behavior. That's the male and the female of that clan.
Mm-hmm.
The juveniles are the ones that really like to mess with us.
Just reminded me, she's going to be on the show, but I can't remember when it is.
Yeah, you will find her very interesting. She can tell you, she knows a lot of good stuff.
Maybe we never scheduled. I don't know. I know I talked to her a few times and she had some good stories we chatted about.
Yeah. She's one of them that'll tell you how their hair is nice and flowing on one of them that she's seen.
Now
she's the one.
Got to get her scheduled.
She's the one that got the recording of the mail.
Oh, the one you were talking about earlier?
Yeah, she's the one that made the recording. She's the one that made that recording. So she has a lot of good stuff.
Now I got to double down. On getting her on now. We were just talking. I don't think we ever locked in a date.
She did live up here in central Indiana, and now she's living down in southern Indiana towards Evansville.
She's down
in
the Greg
Hills.
She
actually lives down at Fort Branch now.
Okay. I was going to say, I'm looking at her and I's messages back and forth, and I accidentally sent her an invite to something else. Now I'm freaking out. I'm like, did I ruin this whole relationship? I do. I'll tell you one thing I always ask Bigfoot
Well,
people is sorry, go ahead.
send her back an invite and tell her I said that you need to she needs to talk to you.
I will. I'll send her one. It was I think I do so many that I get lost in the shuffle. I forget
Yeah.
I forget the conversations I have. I'm like, who was that supposed to be? Like I'll have to go back through and Facebook stalk them again.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what we're going to talk about.
But yeah, you'll find Edie. She's very knowledgeable. She's done a lot of podcasts too.
Oh yeah, I've yet to meet anybody that was completely just really rude. I've had one or two people who are kind of bigger names, respected in the field, that told me that more or less I wasn't worth their time with my level of doing this. But I'm like, whatever, I will be one day, and then you'll answer to me, buddy. So I tattooed their name inside my arm, and that's my list. I'm not going to mention any names because I'm not holding any grudges. It's just going to be one of those things when it happens. I'll be like, you know what you did.
Yeah.
And I'll just keep walking. Anyway, one thing I always ask the Bigfoot guys is we're wrapping up anyway, pushing way past what I thought we would do. What do you think of the Patterson Gimlin film? Do you think it's real, or
I think it's real.
Official, unofficial opinion?
I think it's real. The time frame of it, and way before any digital. Now that we're in the digital age, everything can be manipulated. But then at that time, you can't manipulate, a whole lot of film. And the last thing I'd really seen on it and watched on it one time was Hollywood was even saying we can't reproduce that now.
Oh yeah.
Let alone in the 60s. We couldn't have produced that. So that's why I believe it's a true film. I believe it's a real film.
I think the funniest, most ironic part about that whole scenario is the fact that at the same time Planet of the Apes was on, and that was the height of our special effects as far as monkey suits goes, and they just look cheesy as it is. That was like the best of the best.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So I mean that's why I think that it's real. In today's world, when people talk about pictures and everything else, I'm like, well, why do it anyways? Because everybody's going to pick it apart. And I'll tell people, I could show you the best picture ever of a real picture, and you're going to go, that's fake, because of the digital world, AI and everything else. Everything can be manipulated and faked, and so yeah, it's hard to prove, to anybody on anything,
Yeah, all those fake. Everybody's like, well, that's fake no matter how real it is, no matter what it is.
Yeah, no matter how real it is, they go, that's fake. So why even, I don't know.
I talked to a guy last night. Said, why would they have breast on the thing? Why would they be that detailed with breast?
Yeah, why would they even think about going detailed like that? And now if that was in the 70s, where everything we just showed breast for any reason whatsoever on all the movies, yeah, then maybe someone would have done it, because then they threw in nudity into movies when it didn't even fit into the movie, but they'd throw it in there,
Makes me wish I'd lived through the 70s now.
I did, and it was nice.
I didn't get to experience the 70s. A little bit of the 80s and all the 90s. The 90s were superior. So. I love the 90s. Miss them. Well, okay, LeRoy, we're gonna land the plane if you want to. You got any other things you want to plug besides the conference next year?
Yeah, well, we have our fall outing coming up in October this year, which will be in the Morgan Monroe State Forest.
Okay.
or 15th?
14th and 15th.
Something to that.
I think it's right around that time, around the 14th and 15th of October. This is when we'll have our fall outing that we just camp and do some squatching at night.
Cool. Is your main website your Facebook page there?
Yeah.
IBRO Facebook.
Yeah, and then we also have a web page. It's the IBROindiana.com
All right. Write that down.
is our web page, which we're currently working on it, some changing it. It's a constant work in progress.
Yeah, that's the thing with web pages. They're almost out of style. It's almost like just more of a pain to have than I have one now, and I keep getting behind on it, even though I'm actually pretty good at it. That's kind of what I do by trade, but like I don't have time to sit back here and build a web page for 4 hours a day.
Yeah, well, I did IT, but I never did web.
Yeah,
So everything that I do on the page, I'm learning as I go. And I'm kind of hard-headed and too cheap to pay anybody to do anything.
WordPress is how I do it. I just do WordPress because it all just fills in.
That's what I'm using.
Saves a lot
I'm
of
using
time.
WordPress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm using WordPress is what I'm using.
Do not blame you.
So yeah,
Okay,
I got to
you build a new website?
Well, I got to build a new one for this conference. For the conference, I'm going to have to build a new website for it. And I'm too cheap to have someone else do it.
I bet you could do it. Just make it like well, I would defeat the purpose. I was going to say make it like a free WordPress site and then route a domain to it, but it'd be the same as making your own domain. It wouldn't matter, would it?
Yeah, I think I'm going to create a new domain for it, and then just link it to the page.
Yeah, well, let us know because I will. I would definitely like to possibly get it. I'm trying to sprinkle my stuff out there and invest a little money into it. Just paid my truck off, so I got some extra cash I can push toward things, but not too much.
Yeah, well, it'll be coming out.
T-shirt.
Yeah, a lot of it'll be coming out on our Facebook page here before long.
All right, I'll at least buy a spot on a T-shirt.
Yeah, we just haven't done it. We haven't done it yet. We haven't went out there and pushed that part of it yet. We just got the venue pinned down this week, and so once we got the date and the venue pinned down, now we're in full mode of trying to get everything else on board so that we can actually get it going this year.
Oh yeah, Cindy. What's her name? Sydney Crider is in your group.
Yeah, she's in it.
I think I accidentally spammed that group one time. Forgive me. Accidentally spam everything in a hurry.
Yeah.
Don't kick me out. I'm actually good people. I promise.
Okay.
Accidental spamming. I do it all the time. Oh shit! I know those people. Can't spam their group.
Unfortunately, I have to kick people all the time.
I don't. I understand. There's a lot of crap going on the internet right now, and
there's
people just
a lot
post anything in these groups.
And the Facebook page is a entity of its own, and it's our core group is totally different than what the Facebook page is. Facebook page is a whole animal on its own. But
a train wreck, if you will.
Yeah, but it's there to get leads off of. So I try to keep it that way, and everybody else wants to jump on it to get the leads, and I go, no, that's why I put up with this, is to get those leads. So I have to beat some people down, unfortunately.
I think I'm actually a member. I don't remember joining that one. Wow. I do a lot. I got to get my shit together. Now we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks for being on though, for real. It's been fun. I'm sorry we didn't get to do it earlier in live.
Yeah, well, they changed work on me. They said I was going to have to work, and then that got changed in the middle of the night, and I was not happy.
Yeah, that's if my job did something like that, they'd be finding a replacement network person.
Yeah, I was not happy with that at all. Saying we're going to work from 9 to 6 Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then at 11 o'clock on Friday night, a guy comes in, drops his trailer, and says, "Well, I'll be back in the morning. We're going to work tomorrow during the day." That would have been nice to know ahead of time.
Yeah, so I can get some sleep.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's unacceptable.
you
Gotta be
have
some kind of OSHA standard.
Well, you have crews out here that's scheduled to come out here, and they're out here all paying overtime for these people to be out here. And now you say, "Well, you're not going to work." No, that's not kosher. So there was a lot of nasty emails went out today on it,
Good.
and a lot of telling them that that was not acceptable, that I would not accept that anymore. So wasn't happy with them.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I'm going to go. All right, we'll go ahead and end the broadcast. Thanks, everybody, for watching in the future as we are pre-recording The Magic of TV. Thanks, LeRoy and his executive producer in the background for joining the old show here.